some really good hockey was played last night.
Yeah, it was.
By the Carolina Hurricanes. Canes beat the Devils 6-3. Without overreacting too much, I do think there are some observations we can make about the way that this roster is kind of put together and how it could break down if things go well throughout the year. Dennis brought it up earlier. The speed popped.
Yeah.
The speed popped. And one thing that stood out to me was they've always had a handful of fast guys.
Sure.
Right? They've always had a handful of really crafty skaters. It seemed like last night there wasn't a point in time where they didn't have 4 or sometimes 5 really good skaters, guys that were a threat to score, guys that were a threat to possess a puck and transition to the offensive end. There really wasn't anybody that you wouldn't think, all right, you better get somebody on them if they were in space. And that to me is the mark of a really good roster.
Yeah,
right?
There's throughout the lineup.
Yeah, their fourth line at times was their best line.
They were.
It was Kokoniemi, Hall, and on the other side now, of course,
Robinson.
Of course, Eric Robinson scored the late goal. And their third pairing with Alexander Nikishin and Ghost was on defense was at times their most effective defensive pairing, especially when you consider transitioning to offense. Hard to be better than a Slavin pairing when it comes to takeaways and things like that. But like Nikishin is one of those guys who there's still some kinks to iron out. Don't get me wrong, right? Some wrinkles that he'll have to get used to, and he'll get better. But then every once in a while he makes a move or he takes a shot, and you're like, goodness, he's not going to be able to be left alone. Like there's no breather for the team they're playing against.
He factored in on that game-winning goal by Seth Jarvis. He helped jump up in the play, help keep the puck in the zone, gloved it down to himself and everything, and then puck worked around before it's Ghost to Aho to Jarvis. But he factored in that play, which is significant to see a guy with so few games in the NHL being on the ice late in a game in that kind of situation when there's under 3 minutes left. That's big for a young man like that.
And even more directly contributed to their first goal with a really got the secondary assist and also really well placed pass to Ghost which led to the tip in, the deflection by Taylor Hall. So he's just one example of a guy who, how many minutes he ends up playing, I'm not sure, but when he has the puck, you cannot take a breath. You cannot take a breather. And there's really no breather up and down the Canes lineup the way it was situated last night. And then here's the other thing. And this is why I'm trying not to overreact to one game. Hockey it can get a little fluky, right?
Oh, for sure.
I think I saw from Walt Ruff, Canes team reporter, unofficially the Canes rang the post 7 times. 7 times, and at times it felt like they had done it 7 times in the 3 minutes prior to when it happened. Which if we're being real, those are kind of at least a couple earned goals, right? They were worthy of goals. You just millimeters was the difference. So perhaps they could have won this game a little bit more comfortably and not needed that late flurry. But then you think back to maybe the Miller goals, and you're thinking those are maybe not the little softies, if you will, maybe not the most earned goals. And you're going, all right, well, if you're going to give 2 that were earned, you might have to take 1 away, and you get to that game. So maybe the best way to think of it is just wait till we have a bigger sample size.
Yeah.
Right. I don't think if Sebastian Aho gets the looks that he got last night in many games this year, he's going to finish without a goal scored.
Yeah, the one he rang off the post on the shorthanded attempt was just he beat Markstrom clean.
And there were a few where he was past the puck in a position where I was thinking like, oh, he's gonna net this, and for whatever reason didn't hit it clean. I think one time kind of whiffed a little bit. There's it was first game for everybody, but Sebastian Aho gets those opportunities. He's leaving with a goal or 2 most nights. So there's still things to improve on. There's still things that you may have gotten a little lucky. And I think we wait till, you get a larger sample size to see what's real.
He still had a couple points.
Yeah. No, he didn't have a bad game at all.
He still had a couple points.
He's still Sebastian Aho. Let's not get crazy.
I will say, speaking of Aho and that line with Ehlers and Jarvis, though, you could see the skill, B, the speed, but also you can see how these guys are thinking 1, 2, 3 steps ahead. And I think that's something that they're still trying to figure out with each other, is that they're among the forwards, Ehlers is the only new guy. So he has to figure out how the team plays, but also specifically how Jarvis and Aho play. And the same thing with Jarvis and Aho. They have to figure out how Ehlers plays. But you can kind of tell as the game went along, they were creating chances. I mean, Ehlers, even though he didn't get a secondary assist, still factored in on that game-winning goal as well by Seth Jarvis. So they were constantly creating chances with each other. And it was like, man, they still combined for 4 points, and it's like they weren't even close to fully clicking.
I agree with that as well. I also think you brought it. You said it correctly, which is they're thinking 2 and 3 steps ahead.
Yeah.
Eventually, they're not going to have to think about it, right?
Exactly.
Eventually, they're just gonna know, and it's gonna be instinct, and they're still thinking it through, because that's what happens when you're with a new line mate. Do you know what's the craziest stat? Because there's a lot of, in any given game, you can go pick and choose little stats.
Mm-hmm.
This one really surprised me.
Okay.
Nikolai Ehlers played 19 minutes and 35 seconds last night.
Yeah.
Do you know what his regular season high was last year? 1941.
Yeah.
So already you can, that was like the high water mark of his whole season, not like last year's opener. He played, I think, 20 something in the postseason once or twice. But during the regular season, his high was 1941. And I think just that right there, because you don't want to play a guy his like all-time overly max in game 1 of a season. He's going to play more minutes. You can expect more production than what he's put on the ice in the past with the same efficiency, just projecting it over a few more minutes a game. And that 60 whatever points can turn into 75 pretty quickly, just off of, not playing any better and not, assuming that Aho and Jarvis don't give him any more opportunities, just the exact same amount, he'll be a more effective player.
I know there was one play last night that I know you loved, because you and I were sitting up next to each other on press row. There was a moment late in a shift for Ehlers, and it was basically him like 1-on-2, 1-on-3, and he tried to make a move. He's like, you know what? Everyone else is changing. I'm going to try and make something happen. You're like, ooh, I like that.
I really liked it. And the speed.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the reason why he could even entertain the thought of making a move there is because he had the confidence of, oh, this guy can't keep up with me.
Yeah.
And that's such a baller thought, right?
Yeah.
Like, as somebody that was never the fastest guy in any sport, it's got to be such an empowering feeling to just be like, oh, we're even. Oh, this is a win for me. I'm going to get the corner. And you could see he has that instinct, which is quite frankly why he was brought in to the Carolina Hurricanes, and a 6-3 win.
I loved how Keandre Miller and Jalen Chatfield looked together. You can tell right away. It's like these guys haven't played a single game together, or it just took a couple of shifts, and you're like, yeah, this duo right here was probably their best defensive pair the entire night.
Obviously, the night you scored 2 goals and it's your debut and everything's breaking your way.
Yeah.
You're going to be everybody's best friend. But even taking that away, Keandre Miller fit in. You could tell very, he's a guy that could sit on the bench next to anybody. You know what I mean? Just kind of Mr. Congeniality. And then he scored twice, which obviously helps. But, both he and Ehlers, I say it a lot, but they're Canes. Like, they may have been playing for other teams, but they've been Canes. And his wingspan stood out. There's a lot to like about the new guys, and obviously a lot to like about the guys returning as well. And at some point today, we will talk about the goalies, because you have to. But we won't overreact to that either, right? The good news is we're being accountable. We're not overreacting positively, so that enables us and allows us to not overreact negatively.